Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
Moments ago, we sent a sworn declaration under penalty of perjury signed by my client, Julie Swetnick, detailing her allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, Mark Judge, and others relating to the early 80s and what she observed and witnessed, as well as what transpired to her during that time period. We have asked the committee, as we did days ago, to launch a formal FBI investigation. My client is ready to meet with FBI agents forthwith, disclose what she knows in detail. We heard. So
this is Avenatti. Okay, it's enough already. Avenatti, the most disgraced lawyer in America. You could turn off the music. They can't hear two things. Here's my question. When I first heard this, actually, my heart stopped. My chest tightened. I lost my breath. I took a look at the girl, Julie Swetnick, and I read her affidavit. And here's the part that bothers me the most. It's a sworn statement. Not like the others. This is a sworn affidavit under oath. She could be sued. I think she could be imprisoned for false statements. That's one thing. But number two, coming from Avenatti, I don't believe a word of it. That's the problem. The latest accuser says Kavanaugh was involved in quaaludes and gang rapes. And I said, do you believe her on my Twitter feed? People don't believe her because of, A, it's come forward at the 12th hour. Remember this. This is the most important thing from my point of view. I don't know what you're thinking about this. The man is a federal judge. He went through a hearing years and years ago. Where were all these accusers then? Why didn't they come forward and say he's a gang rapist? He should be investigated. That's number one. But the bigger issue here is this. Did Republicans do due diligence on Kavanaugh? Now, remember this. During his campaign for president, Donald Trump was told by his top campaign lawyer, Don McGahn, to come up with a list of judges he would name for the Supreme Court if elected. His initial list of 20 names was expanded to 25 in November of that year, with Brett Kavanaugh being one of the names included. Now, fast forward to today, when a third accuser, with a signed affidavit under penalty of perjury, accuses Kavanaugh of sexual abuse of the worst kind. How could the Republicans have missed this in the background, or even lurking in the background, this kind of accusation? Are they that stupid? I believe, if true, this will set the Republican Party back for 30 years. We'll be on the short march to democratic socialism if this is not stopped. Why? Because no woman will vote for a Republican again. If Republicans cannot do their due diligence and put forth someone with these kinds of things in their background, how could you trust them? But the bigger question is, why did Trump pick Kavanaugh? Why didn't Trump pick the woman, Amy Coney Barrett? Why didn't he just pick Amy Coney Barrett? Why did he pick a Bush-era lawyer? Now, remember, this is an important point. Jeb Bush, George Bush, Kavanaugh, tied at the hip. Why did Trump pick a guy from the Bush period of Bush administration? Why? Who steered Trump away from people like Amy Coney Barrett to Kavanaugh, a Bushie? I have my suspicions, and I know who I think it could be. If I were looking for a leaker, if I were looking for who was steering Trump into the Bush camp, it would go no further than Splay. You'll have to read my past tweets to know who I mean when I say Splay, because I never trusted Splay from the beginning. I think Splay is an enemy within, and I think it's the Splay camp that pushed this guy forward. Now, so you'll say, Savage, aren't you jumping to conclusions? This woman is a client of that Avenatti demon. How can you believe her? Well, did you read the affidavit? It's under oath. I'm going to read it to you. Why would she put herself at such a risk? Would you have everyone believe that all Republicans are good Catholic schoolboys and clean as the wind-driven snow? My feeling right now is anyone who is tainted with so much of this, with a woman under oath may be finished. Now, how did Brett Kavanaugh get this far? How can a dirtbag, a low-life dirtbag like Avenatti, pull one over like this on the entire Republican Party? Why didn't they do their due diligence? Now, she claims she was a victim of rape and believes she was drugged with Quaaludes while drinking. That's the same drug Bill Cosby used, by the way. Coming the day after the Cosby internment, so to speak, it's very, very suspicious. Quaaludes can cause delirium, convulsions, vomiting, coma, and even death if used incorrectly or mixed with alcohol. But, you know, there's another side effect of Quaaludes. You can look it up, and it's memory loss. It's a complete loss of memory. So if they were on Quaaludes, how do they remember this even happened? Did anyone bring that up? Look up the side effects of Quaaludes, okay? Now, there's more to this. If you read the accounts of Bill Cosby's victims, some remember nothing at all, just waking up somewhere unfamiliar with disheveled clothing. This does not discount this accuser's claims that something happened to her. But if she was so drugged, how could she be sure it was Kavanaugh? Regardless of anything, the Democrats will stop at nothing to dig up opposition research on someone they're trying to keep from getting power. The Republicans apparently are light years behind on this smear tactics, and we are now reaping the disaster that their lack of guts and diligence has created. They should have looked into the background of Kavanaugh a little more clearly and seen if any dirt was on him that could have been used to damage him. And this all could have been avoided if Trump had picked Amy Coney Barrett. Why was he steered in the direction of a Bush-era judge and a Bush administration administrator? Why? Why did he pick a Bushy? How did he get all of a sudden into the Bush camp? How? You have to look at that. That's a very important point because I think that they set Trump up for a fall. Now, they're going to see it tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. It's going to be unbelievable what goes on tomorrow morning. Who's going to be able to sleep tonight? We're all going to wait and see Dr. Fraud, this latest one, who's named Julie Swetnick, we now know. Then there's the missing one, no one's ever seen her. The next one, Miss Ramirez, we don't know who she is. And they're all going to be grilled by the woman the prosecutor picked from Maricopa County, Arizona, which is interesting to me because that's Judge Arpaio's county. So there's no question she was handpicked. You know, she's a sex crimes investigator, which is good. But she's biased. She's a Republican. Good. We need a biased prosecutor rather than biased in the other way. That's just fine. But who is this woman, Julie Swetnick? Who is she? She said she's worked for the federal government, U.S. Department of Treasury, U.S. Mint, Internal Revenue Service. She worked for Hillary Clinton in the State Department. She worked in a lot of different departments. She's moved around a lot. She worked for U.S. Department of Homeland Security. She worked with all sorts of government things. She's a lifer. She worked for the IRS, Treasury Department. She is one of the first 100 women in the world to achieve a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineering certification. So here's what she says. She met Judge and Kavanaugh in 80 to 81. By the way, where was Avenatti in 80 and 81? Has anyone asked Avenatti what he was doing in 80 and 81? Are there any women out there who know Avenatti from 80, 81, 90, and 91? And she says, I introduced to them at a house party that I attended. I observed Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh as extremely close friends during the early 80s. Blah, blah, blah. There was no question in mind that Mark Judge had limited information concerning the conduct. Following that first introduction, I attended well over 10 house parties in the Washington, D.C. area during the years 81 to 82, where Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh were present. These parties were a common occurrence in the area and occurred nearly every weekend during the school year. The woman then says, on numerous occasions at these parties, I witnessed Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh drink excessively and engage in highly inappropriate conduct, including being overly aggressive with girls and not taking no for an answer. This conduct included the fondling and grabbing of girls without their consent. Now she goes on, grinding against girls, verbally abusive towards girls, witness Brett Kavanaugh. I said breast. I didn't say breast Kavanaugh. I said Brett Kavanaugh. That's terrible. What a slip of the tongue. That one will go around viral now. Breast Kavanaugh. I often witness Breast Kavanaugh speak in a demeaning manner about girls in general, as well as specific girls by name. I also witnessed Brett Kavanaugh behave as a mean drunk Then she goes on to, it gets worse. Should I read more? Okay. 11. During the years 81 to 82, I became aware of efforts by Mark Judge, Brett Kavanaugh, and others to spike the punch at house parties I attended with drugs and grain alcohol, so as to cause girls to lose their inhibitions and their ability to say this caused me to make. Now, why did she go to these parties if she knew that they were spiking punch? I'm wondering about that. Target particular girls so they could be taken advantage of. Blah, blah, blah. Look, this stuff does happen, and it did happen. Let's not be naive about this. But here it gets crazy altogether. I also witnessed efforts by Mark Judge, Brett Kavanaugh, and others to cause girls to become inebriated and disoriented so they could then be gang raped in a side room or bedroom by a train of numerous boys. I have a firm recollection of seeing boys lined up outside rooms at many of these parties waiting for their turn with a girl inside the room. So why didn't she go to the police? That's rape. Why did this girl, whatever her name is, Julie Swetnick, why didn't Julie Swetnick immediately go to the police and say they're gang raping girls? Why? Now it gets even crazier. Are you listening? In approximately 1982, I became the victim of one of these gang of train rapes. I never heard the word train rapes, by the way, where Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh were present. Shortly after the incident, I shared what had transpired with at least two other people. Who are they? During the incident, I was incapacitated without my consent. That means she was drugged and unable to fight off the boys raping me. Oh, okay. I believe I was drugged using Quaaludes or something similar placed in what I was drinking. Okay, that's so serious. I don't know how she didn't go to the police. I mean, I don't know any girl on earth who, if she'd been drugged, wouldn't have immediately told the parents and gone to the cops. I don't understand this. But here's the part that bothers me. Julie Swetnick concludes as follows. I'm aware of other witnesses that can attest to the truthfulness of each of the statements above. I declare under penalty of perjury and under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct. I've executed this declaration on September 25th, 2018. That was yesterday. Under the laws of penalty of perjury and on the laws of the U.S. So this is worrisome to me. But why did she wait until the 12th hour to come forward? And why is she using a degenerate, debased gutter snipe of a lawyer who previously represented the stripper? And by the way, whatever happened to those 20-odd women who accused Donald Trump of all sorts of things? Remember that? It's a side note. Where are all the women who accused President Trump of sexually abusing them or having sex with them? Where'd they all go all of a sudden? I don't know where they went. So something's wrong with the whole picture. There's something wrong with the picture. There's a few things for you to remember. The latest accuser says Kavanaugh involved in Quaaludes and gang rapes. Do you believe her? It's a main question of the day. And the prosecutor that's going to be in the Kavanaugh hearings tomorrow looks like one on our side of the type I normally don't trust, the Janet Reno type. Apparently we have one on our side. I didn't know we even had one, but we do, thank God. They dug her up out of Maricopa County. This is crazy. But Quaaludes cause memory loss. Never forget that. You don't have to have a degree in pharmacology to know that. Quaaludes cause memory loss, a complete blank of memory. So how does she remember all of this? How does she remember all of this? Is there any credibility in this? Do you think Kavanaugh should withdraw for the safety, I don't know what word to use. I do actually have the word to use. Should he withdraw at this time? I don't think he will. But, you know, tomorrow 9 a.m. is going to come around pretty quick. And within an hour and 40 minutes, the president's going to give a press conference. And I will be on the air during that press conference. I don't know what could happen by now and then. I think I'd be biting my nails because by then he could announce that he's withdrawing his name. Anything could happen. We are living in crazy times. I don't understand why the Republicans don't go on the offense and look into Dianne Feinstein's background, why they don't bring witnesses forward about all of the allegations that have been laid against these accusers, whether they be Feinstein or Blumenthal or Schumer or any of the others. Where are the opposition researchers with regard to these sterling characters who are destroying a man's name? And before I take my first break, do you realize what effect this is having on the young children of Kavanaugh? Do you have any idea what this is doing to them, what Dianne Feinstein did to this fine young family? Do you have any idea what these vicious Democrat women will do in order to maintain power? Do you have any idea? I do.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Not long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, to expand the business, to go on vacation, to buy a new car, remember? But today, withdrawing your own cash has become very, very risky. Listen, according to The Secret War on Cash, a new Swiss America white paper I just read, it made my hair stand on end. You better be careful when you go to the bank. I learned why banks are now required to spy on you and I for the government. And then they report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. What does that mean? Get The Secret War on Cash now by calling 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Did you know simply spending cash today is enough to get you branded as a potential criminal? You heard me. You better read The Secret War on Cash. It's free by calling 800-289-2646. The new war against cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. Find out how to survive and thrive by reading The Secret War on Cash. It's free if you call 800. You know, this is almost like a repeat of the Sanhedrin that condemned Jesus to be crucified in many ways. In other words, it wasn't a unanimous decision to crucify Jesus. The Sanhedrin was an assembly of 23 or 71 rabbis appointed to sit as a tribunal in every city in the ancient land of Israel. And the Sanhedrin judged whether or not, this court judged whether or not, they were the judge, jury, and hangman, but it was not unanimous. There were those who said, no, don't crucify Jesus. And so tomorrow you're going to witness testimony before the Sanhedrin, and then the Sanhedrin, which is the Senate committee, will vote after that. In fact, the full Senate has to vote. All 100 of them will have to vote. It's a repeat of history in some ways. It's crazy. Now, here's a woman who said she did Quaaludes, but she remembers distinctly that he was one of the gang rapers. I have a neighbor who told me he has a friend who went to the same prep school that Kavanaugh went to, Georgetown Prep. And he said it's a very strict Jesuit school run by priests who were as tough as nails. And he said once a boy dropped a potato on the floor, and the priest came in. And he said, who dropped this potato? And when the boy didn't answer quickly enough, the priest punched him in the face. That's how strict the school was. I'm not saying that's the way to raise a kid. This was a very strict upbringing that Kavanaugh had. Can you actually believe he would then go out on the side and use Quaaludes and gang rape a girl? But let's put that aside. Many of you say, well, what does one thing have to do with another? If a girl you know had been gang raped on Quaaludes, would she not have told her parents and gone to the police? I don't care whether it was 1781 or 1981. What girl would not have gone to the police after having been gang raped? Tell me. Tell me. I want to know. This is the part I want to know.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Should the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh be withdrawn? Why didn't Trump nominate Amy Coney Barrett instead? He wouldn't have had this trouble. She'd be in already. Did McCain leave Jeff Flake his pink shirt? The main question I had earlier was, why didn't she report it? If she had been gang raped on the Quaaludes and drugged, I kept asking, why didn't she report it? Well, I got this on Twitter. Not all girls report it. We feel like it's our fault for being there. Some girls don't have anyone they trust who they feel they can tell. And also some boys don't report it. Now, remember, there's two sides to the story. Some boys get involved in these things and they don't tell anyone about it. Or some boys get assaulted and don't tell anyone about it, by the way. You know, you ever hear about that one happening? Where boys do pull a deliverance on another boy? A younger boy, a weaker boy, a smaller boy? You think the boy runs and tells his father he was raped? I mean, look, I got to give you the whole picture here. You know, there's a whole world. It's a circle. The world's not flat. It's round. And the world of reactions to these horrendous events is round, not flat. There are boys who have been molested who have never reported it to anyone because they're humiliated and ashamed. They're afraid of saying they were weak. They never went to their father and they said it happened to them. So you say, well, what does it have to do with this? Same thing applies here. Girls maybe don't want to tell their mother. Why were they at the party to begin with? Why were they using the drugs to begin with? So they bury it. And yet, on the other hand, if no one was there who can corroborate it, do we destroy a man's life? His life's ruined anyway, by the way. It doesn't matter whether he's confirmed or not. He's tainted. His children are now ruined for life. Do you realize these young girls have to go to school every day with this because of Feinstein? Can you imagine a woman, an octogenarian, will hold on to power and not even think about who she's killing along the way and murdering, spiritually murdering, emotionally murdering, character assassination has a meaning. So something's wrong. Private school girls, public school girls. KFAQ in Oklahoma. Michael, you have an intriguing point. What is it, please, about her testimony?
Michael, you're absolutely correct as usual. What you're saying brings out the basis of law, is that a person is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The reasonable doubt is on Kavanaugh's side, not on the accuser. In other words, Kavanaugh, it must be unreasonable to believe anyone except the accuser before Kavanaugh could be considered guilty. Mm-hmm. Also, Michael, you pointed out perfectly that why would a woman go to a party where she knows, continue to go to a party where she knows that the food and drink is being spiked, and she continued to go allegedly until she herself was gang raped. Now, it's just like a person who gets involved in a drunk driving incident where they're guilty of manslaughter. They could argue and say, well, I didn't intend to kill these people, but they waived their right to that defense when they chose to get drunk. She chose to go to the party claiming that she knew beforehand that they were spiking the punch or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. If she knows that they were spiking the punch, I became aware of efforts by Mark Judge, Brett Kavanaugh, and others to spike the punch at house parties I attended with drugs and or grain alcohol so as to cause girls to lose their inhibitions and their ability to say this caused blah, blah, blah. Why did she keep going there?
Well said, Michael. You've outlined just like a defense attorney for Kavanaugh, and she has absolutely waived her right to claim that she was not giving her consent. She has legally waived her right to say.
Are you, Michael? Are you an attorney?
I've got a degree, a PhD in law from the School of Hard Knocks, state of Oklahoma. So that's what I'm talking.
That's the best. That's the best kind of PhD there is.
That's the best there is, Michael, and you would not believe how well I know the law.
I don't want to hear all the details. You sound like a guy who's been through the mill, and you can have spent enough time in places where you had nothing to do but read the law books.
I know what it's like, Michael, to have people premeditate lies and think of every aspect in order to try to prevent their lies from being discovered. That's why she agreed to testify with penalty of perjury, as she knew that she couldn't be proven to be a liar.
Wait. Now, that's the interesting part. You say that the way she testified prevents her from being prosecuted for perjury. Why is that?
Well, Michael, the only person who could witness or to corroborate what she's saying is either the rapers or another girl there that has been raped. But see, she's covered her butt that way. And I'm not saying anything against the person who tweeted to you, but they said, well, they don't normally want to talk about it. Well, that still goes back to the foundation of law, Michael, that a person being accused, as you pointed out perfectly well with regard to Jesus, in order to honestly judge somebody who is probably innocent, they have to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And the reasonable doubt is in their court, not the accuser's court.
Well, I agree with you. The reasonable doubt part was thrown out the window in America a long time ago. We have now descended into a totalitarian legal state where a person is guilty before they even had a chance to answer the charges, and that's because of Dianne Feinstein and the others who have turned our law upside down because of their viciousness and their socialist tendencies, worse than socialist, because not all socialists are this psychotic. But they've reversed all the rules of law, which is what you're saying. It's to a reasonable doubt, a position of reasonable doubt. Where in the world can Kavanaugh go from here? How can he defend himself?
Well, he has to rely on the foundation of law. And Michael, you are the only one who has the guts to stand up and say what you're saying. And it's because of you mostly, and then the few people like you in the media that will stand up and say, look, this is not making sense. Don't crucify this man for the sake of a Feinstein or some other politically motivated, worthless person.
What if someone got up and said that Charles Schumer did this, Feinstein did that the reason that guy Blumenthal talks so funny is because he did that, and he didn't have to, and the guy keeps repeating it. Blumenthal speaks weirdly because he does this after work. What would happen if a person did it over and over again?
Well, Michael, you've outlined that many, many times on your excellent dissertations, is that there wouldn't be anything done. The Democrats aren't going to do anything, and it seems like that we who are not politically motivated, we who are objective, that we don't speak out enough. But you do, and that's why I called in, Michael. There has to be somebody speak up for the foundation of justice. The system works. It's the people in charge of the system, as you pointed out.
Right, the people in charge. Well, I'm so happy that you still receive the show in Oklahoma. I hope you do so come January, but if you don't, you can get the show on podcast anytime and any place. I hope you heard my announcement on Monday, did you?
I will be listening, Michael, because you are the only talk show host, as you pointed out, that supported President Trump from the get-go, and you are the only talk show host who's got the guts to say things like they are.
Well, I'm sending you Stop Mass Hysteria. It'll be out in exactly 10 days. And I want you to have a copy, because if ever there was an example of mass hysteria, I thought it was already at the high water mark with the Trump derangement syndrome. I thought we had seen the peak of the insanity with the Trump witch hunt, but I was wrong. I was wrong, because the mass hysteria that I pointed out in my book certainly applies more so today than ever before. And there is a history of this. The history didn't begin with Trump. It didn't end with Kavanaugh. It began with, in our lifetime, in our country, with Christopher Columbus. The lies about Christopher Columbus that are being proffered by the American left, who tear down his statues from New York City to San Francisco, are exactly the same lies that are being thrown about at every man who is, in some way, a traditionalist or a patriot. But Kavanaugh's main crimes to the American left are as follows. He is white, strike one. He is straight, strike two. He is married, strike three. He has children, strike four. He is a Christian. Go down the list. Check the boxes. Every one of those are crimes to Dianne Feinstein. And it's a damn shame, that's all I can say. But what do you think about all of this? Are there any people listening to this show who believe that Kavanaugh is finished and that he should be withdrawn? I don't think you're going to call. I don't believe my listeners would say that. I'm waiting for Trump's press conference coming up in about 2 hours from now. Actually, it's less than an hour and 20 minutes. And I don't know what Trump's liable to do. If he withdraws Kavanaugh today and says he's going to withdraw him, that's the end of it. Because what's going to happen is how can he put another one in between now and the elections? How? No way to do it. No way to do a background check. And speaking of background checks, again, I'll raise the question I've been raising for days. Brett Kavanaugh is not an unknown quantity. Brett Kavanaugh is a sitting federal judge. Brett Kavanaugh went through background checks by the FBI. He went through a grilling very much like this and was blocked for over 3 months by some of the same vermin who are doing this to Kavanaugh. Yes, you heard me right. Turban Durbin up there in Mecca. He represents Mecca up there. Turban Durbin, who called our Marines in Haditha Nazis and fascists. Turban Durbin, for 3 months, obstructed the appointment of Kavanaugh to the federal bench. I don't know if you know this. This is a big story that should be on every television channel. Look at what they did to Kavanaugh when he went up before. So they've done background checks on him. Where were the girls then? That's the big question. Even if this is all true, why didn't they come forward then? Why did they come forward now? And why would they use a scumsucker like Avenatti, a man who has zero credibility with anyone? Would you believe a word that comes out of Avenatti's mouth about 1981, 1982? And where was Avenatti in 81 and 82? That's what I'd like to know. What was he doing? He looks like a real straight shooter to me. He looks like a real straight guy to me, Avenatti. He was not doing anything wild. No. Avenatti was clean as the driven snow. But you'll say, well, he's not going up to the Supreme Court. Okay, Kavanaugh is. But he's a sitting federal judge. He's not an unknown quantity plucked out of the air. Trump didn't go in the gutter and pick a lawyer. He picked a well-respected, well-known, well-vetted man who worked for George Bush. And even Democrats said support Kavanaugh. I never thought Kavanaugh was the right pick, coming from the Bush White House, number one, and being a very moderate Republican who we don't need, number two. Because I know he would disappoint us even if he's on the Supreme Court, by the way. Don't for 1 minute think I think he's such a great conservative. He's certainly better than what would have happened if Hillary Clinton was in the White House and she picked, God forbid, an even more extreme Ruth Bad Girl Ginsburg. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine where she'd cull the girls from to put on the Supreme Court? What a kangaroo court it would become? So, okay, it would be a moderate Republican. And they should be thanking God, by the way, that Trump picked such a moderate. But no, that's not good enough for Dianne Feinstein and Mr. Blumenthal and Charlie Schumer and Dick Durbin. A moderate Republican wasn't good enough for them. They had to conduct this witch hunt now that they would like to inflict on Trump and on every American male who stands for this nation. Every straight, white, heterosexual Christian male is being tried along with Kavanaugh. And make no mistake about it, this is a generic destruction not of Kavanaugh, but of what I just said to you, those characteristics. There is a war in this nation against straight, white, heterosexual Christian men. And Kavanaugh happens to be the Jesus figure of these times.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Do you have sunspots and age spots? Well, listen to Renee from Boulder, Colorado, raving about the brand new Genucel Sunspot Corrector. She says, I love the Genucel Sunspot Corrector. It is my go-to product every day. Watch your sunspots, age spots, and even red inflamed patches vanish right before your very eyes. And just like Renee, if you click or call right now, you'll get the Genucel Sunspot Corrector absolutely free just for trying Genucel for bags and puffiness. Watch those stubborn sunspots vanish now before you get busy with the holidays and those bags and puffiness gone. And for results in less than 12 hours, the Genucel Immediate Effects is also yours free. You heard me, free again. Go to Genucel.com now or call 1-800-SKIN-891, 800-SKIN-891. When you order this week, you'll receive Chamonix's luxury microdermabrasion for instantly radiant baby soft skin. Order now and shipping is also free. Call 800-SKIN-891. Michael Savage, and you're listening to Talk 1398.7. Thinking about something different for just a second. I went to my mechanic yesterday. You know, I collect old cars and classics like Jags. But I have regular cars, too, and I once was poor, and I had cars that broke down. Believe me, I had to have them towed from places you wouldn't believe. But what happens to you if you go in for a simple repair like an oil change and they find metal filings in the oil, and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars? And if it breaks down after the warranty on an old car, you're out of pocket thousands, right? So if your car has 5,000 to 150,000 miles, you can avoid high repair bills by signing on to the Car Shield. They've paid close to $2 billion in claims, and they're ready to help you. And I don't have to tell you what will happen if your car breaks down, but Car Shield makes the process of fixing your car for a covered repair very easy. You can pick your own mechanic, even dealership. They'll give you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car while yours is being fixed for free. So I want you to save yourself thousands in future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate extended vehicle protection by calling. It's a simple number. It's real simple, 800-CAR-6100, 800-CAR-6100, code SAVAGE, or go to carshield.com, code SAVAGE, and you'll save that 10%. That's carshield.com, code SAVAGE, or call 800-CAR-6100, code SAVAGE. A deductible may apply. Steve on WABC in New York. What is your point about the latest accuser of Kavanaugh?
Yeah, my point is, number one, I throw out because I just can't buy 30-some-odd years later. She grew up, she went to school, she got a Ph.D., she even married a man and had 2 children. I dump her. Number two, the Times dumped that story. Number three, this girl that was involved, who did she know at the 2 elite schools to get into that group, considering the fact that, according to what I read online, she went to a public high school in Maryland. Now, if she got into this group, who invited her in?
In other words, all of the girls who went to the private school who were doing these things were in an elite group, let's say. So does elite. Of course, we know what elite means, degenerate. That's what it usually means. But how did Julie Swetnick get into the group of degenerates who were getting involved in Quaalude parties?
Well, the latest accuser, Avenatti's, whatever you want to
Yeah, that's Julie Swetnick. You're saying, how did Julie Swetnick get into a private school party?
How did she get there? Who invited her? And if she did get invited by either one of the boys' group or the girls' group, don't you think she would have freaked out and said, how did you get me involved with this situation?
But why did she go to 10 parties where they were spiking punch with drugs if she knew they were spiking punch with drugs? What was she going there for?
Yeah,
I mean, why would she go 10 times? She could say she went once and she saw it. What'd she go back for over and over again? And coming from an Avenatti, do you believe a word of this? And where was Avenatti in 81? I'd like to see his calendar.
Join the Savage Nation. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God.
It's ridiculous. It's a con game that they're playing. The Democrats are playing this game that is disgraceful. It's a disgrace to the country. And I think you're going to see it in the midterms. I think people are wise to it. It's just a con game. He's a high-quality person. They're bringing people out of the woods. They can do that to anybody. They can do it to anybody, other than perhaps Prime Minister Abiy, because he's so pure. But they can do it to anybody, what they are doing. And it's really, really sad. If you look at this lawyer that just came out, he's a lowlife. He represented Democrats. Nobody ever talks about that. He's a Democrat lawyer. Not a very good one, but he's a Democrat
That's why
lawyer.
we love Trump.
So it's a horrible con game. I think the people are finding it out. And hopefully, over the next couple of days, it will be settled up.
All right, that was earlier. That was earlier. Urgent. Play urgent a little louder. When everything's so urgent right now, I'm getting verklempt. I need a polygraph test. See a low-life, scummy lawyer like Avenatti coming forward in the 12th hour to trump the whole situation like this. You have to ask yourself, where was she a week ago, a month ago? Where was this woman who was so 10 different events with spiking punch? Someone wrote something very interesting. Someone said she's a rapist sympathizer on my Twitter account. I said, what? So a guy says she is the accuser because she said she was actually present and knew exactly what was going on while women were being drugged and gang raped while incapacitated, but she never called the law or told anyone, even the victims. She allowed it to happen many times per her own words. Has that fallen through the cracks in the floor? She said she went to 10 parties where the girls' punch was filled with grain alcohol and drugs, and the women ended up gang raped. Listen to clip 2 from her scummy lawyer, Avenatti. You got to listen to this.
Relating to Brett Kavanaugh's conduct towards women in general, including the attempts to drug women by placing grain alcohol and or drugs in basically the punch at these parties.
Basically the punch?
That many of these women ended up gang raped, unfortunately. I mean, the details in this declaration are specific. They are shocking. But above all else, they are true. And my client stands behind them 100%. And she's looking forward to having an opportunity to meet with one of them.
From this low-life lawyer who no one ever heard of till he represented the stripper, you're going to actually believe that this woman went to 10 different parties? As per her testimony, 10 parties now. I have the testimony that she wrote for this lawyer, and she says she went to at least 10 parties. I'm going to read you her exact words. Here it is. Point 11, during the years 81-82, I became aware of efforts by Mark Judge, Brett Kavanaugh, and others to spike the punch at house parties I attended with drugs and or grain alcohol. 10 parties, she says. Actually, 10 parties in one of them? I can't find it exactly. She said many parties. So she went to them over and over and over. And she says, I have a firm recollection of seeing boys lined up outside rooms at many parties, waiting for their turn with a girl inside the room. That's pretty disgusting. And I want to know why she didn't go to the police. That's all I want to know. God, you have a daughter. Anyone listening to the show have a daughter? Haven't you told your daughter if someone does anything to you, tell me about it? Now, I know that girls do things, boys do things they don't tell their parents about. I mean, none of us are naive. Anyone who's raised a child knows that children do what they want to do and they don't tell the parents. But I'm sorry, 10 parties with gang rapes and you don't tell your mother? Sorry, I don't believe it. Not for 1 second. I've never seen anything like this. So she goes to 10 parties where girls are being drugged and gang raped, and she said nothing to the police. Now, let's put that aside from the years of 81, 82. Let's move forward. Brett Kavanaugh is a sitting federal judge. He worked in the George Bush administration. He's well known in Washington, and he's respected by Democrats because he's a liberal Republican. And where was this girl, this woman, at that time? Where was Julie Swetnick when he was coming up to be a federal judge? Why didn't she testify then? And why didn't she say anything then? Why now in the 12th hour all of a sudden? Where'd they get her from? And don't forget what I said to you. You don't have to be an expert, as am I, in phytochemistry to understand that Quaaludes cause memory loss. Never forget that. You want to talk about drugs for a minute? Just investigate Quaaludes and their side effects. I have several higher degrees. One of them is in chemistry of this type, meaning phytochemistry in that area. Nevertheless, I've read a lot of pharmacology in my life, but you don't need a degree in anything. Just read the side effects of Quaaludes, the horse tranquilizer. It causes memory loss. How could she suddenly remember what happened to her all of a sudden? And President Trump will speak in exactly 50 minutes. I don't know what he's liable to do. We're all sitting on the edge of our seat because he could withdraw the nomination. He could dig his heels in and get even tougher on it. Or the Republicans can do their due diligence and look into the background of Feinstein and come up with some blockbusters about Feinstein, about the accusers like Schumer, about Turban Durbin, about the background of Blumenthal. Why don't they do that? Why don't they do their own opposition research on these accusers? We're living in a new world. This is no longer the America that you grew up in. If you were born, let's say you're in your 30s, even your 20s, you did not live in the America of today because of the scum called the Democrat Socialists. They have upended the entire rule of law. There is no longer a presumption of innocence. It's now a presumption of guilt. And so therefore, especially you left-wing men, listen carefully, we know who you are. When I say we know who you are, I mean generically. I know why men who identify as feminists, or they say I'm a feminist, or they say I'm a progressive, or they say I'm a liberal, used to say liberal, now they have to say I'm a progressive. Why do they say it? Because most of them are usually risk-taking with regard to sexual issues. Most of them are liberals because they lead very licentious lives, and they don't want any Republican telling them, you know, to constrain themselves and how to live. So they figure I'll be a liberal because I believe in doing what I want, right? You are at higher risk than anybody. You look into your own calendar from 81, 91, 2001. Tell me what you were doing in 2001 or 91 or 81. Go figure it out. Tell me you're not at higher risk today because of Dianne Feinstein than you were before you declared yourself to be a progressive. Tell me your life is now at risk, not at risk, because it is. Now anyone could come forward at any time and say you did this, you did that, and you have no chance to defend yourself. You're already crucified and destroyed. You're now presumed guilty because of Dianne Feinstein, Richard Blumenthal, Charles Schumer, Dick Turban Durbin, and the other vicious people who have destroyed the rule of law in this nation. You don't have a chance to defend yourself. Even if you do, you're finished. The Scarlet Letter, it's all over. So we're in a new world now, an absolutely new world. And anyone can accuse anyone of anything, and they're guilty until proven innocent. Why does it not apply to Dianne Feinstein, or Richard Blumenthal, or Turban Durbin, or Charles Schumer? What if people just got up and said, Charles Schumer did this, Charles Schumer takes money from there? And there was one person after another who said, I know Charles Schumer took money from Wall Street over and over again, even though he makes believe he's for the little guy. Or I know that Richard Blumenthal does this, or Richard Blumenthal does that, the man who lied about his Vietnam War record. He never was in Vietnam. I know he's a liar about everything else. And here's what he did. I was at a house party where Richard Blumenthal was seen doing X, Y, and Z. What would happen then? What would happen then? Well, in Connecticut, he probably would be more popular. So that wouldn't work. So that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. It's no wonder people don't go to high culture anymore. It's so boring compared to this that we're living through. You're going to go to the opera season and watch about an event from the 1700s in Italy when you have this high drama. This is like an opera. This is like an opera without the music. Opera season starts in San Francisco. I was thinking of going, and why go? I can't wait to get up every morning to see the next act in this opera being conducted by these new totalitarians in skirts. In skirts. So, I want to ask you what you think. I've never seen anything like this. It's so frightening to live in a world that we have entered. What Feinstein has done to this country with this 12th hour game that she is playing, she has destroyed the rule of law. She's destroyed credibility in public office. She has made it so that any man in this country of any integrity wouldn't go within 1,000 miles of Washington. Feinstein has destroyed this nation. It's sickening. It really is sickening. You can make jokes about it all you want. Ann on WABC, how do you feel today? Tell me what you feel as a result of what's going on.
Hi, Dr. Savage. My whole family admires you tremendously. I happen to be Orthodox, Jewish Orthodox, and very, very strict. The way I am looking at this is if these crimes actually occurred, the woman is an accessory to the crime. She was there. She went there many times. If I ever, in those years, would have seen anything that resembled anything like that, there would have been hell to pay. Nothing like that could have been just pretend it did never happen. Personally, she sounds like she is a social climber, and she sounds like a woman in order to get her way. Maybe she was there helping the gentleman if the crime actually occurred. She is an accessory. This case has to be thrown out.
Well, it's not a case. Look who it came from. Look at the lawyer she picked. You know about ambulance chasers. Then there's another rung of lawyers below ambulance chasers. And then there's a rung in hell below that, and that's where Avenatti came from. But putting all of that aside, and what I think about lawyers like him, she said she was at 10 parties where the punch was spiked with drugs and or grain alcohol in order to get girls loosened up and to rape them. Why didn't she go to the police? And then, listen to this now. Ann, I don't mean to upset you. You're a religious woman, mate. I think if my mother were alive, God rest her soul, she wouldn't even listen to this. She gets sick. Is that how you feel today, listening to this filth?
You're absolutely right.
My mother would have turned the radio off. She would say, I can't listen to this. It's disgusting me.
It's so terribly upsetting. It really is.
Listen to what this woman that Avenatti dug up from the gutter says. In April 1982, I became the victim of one of these gang or train rapes where Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh were present. Why didn't she go to the police? Wait, it gets worse. She says, during the incident I was raped, I was incapacitated without my consent and unable to fight off the boys raping me. I believe I was drugged using Quaaludes or something similar placed in what I was drinking. Why was there no police report?
Why did she go back to test?
Well, she only went 10 times. Said she only went to 10 such parties. You know, maybe she wasn't sure about the first 9, and she wanted to corroborate what happened to her the first 9 to the girls 9 times, and she went back the 10th time and got raped. Why would she go back over and over again?
She was the gatekeeper.
Well, I wouldn't go that far about the gatekeeper, but why'd she go 10 times? All right, look, I'm sorry that you have to live through this as a frum woman, and we're all living through something terrible here right now. It's not the acts that were performed by these boys that are so bad. They're the worst thing that's imaginable, raping a girl. The worst. But destroying a man's reputation for political purpose, as is being done, is the worst thing you could ever imagine happening to a person. Am I right? Doesn't the Bible say in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness? Is that not one of the 10 Commandments?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen to the 10 Commandments that Dianne Feinstein never read. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Apparently, Dianne Feinstein never saw the 10 Commandments in all her years in office. But she ought to look at the 10 Commandments right now, the ones that she ripped off the walls when she voted to tear down the 10 Commandments monuments around America. This is the reason we are now living in a hell of their making. And I want to stop this mass hysteria before it gets worse and we're all swept up in it. This guillotine will soon fall on leftists like you cannot believe.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Welcome back to the Savage Nation, the number one show prep program in the nation. Ideas begin here and ripple out across the country. Everyone knows that. And this is actually a frightening day for those of us who do this for a living. For the average citizen, it's a frightening day. Forget about for a living. To see America melt down to the lowest common denominator as it has. I mean, we thought that the Kardashians were the lowest form of humanity, didn't we? We thought a woman like that and that group were a waste of human DNA. But now we see that there are people below that level of exhibitionism. It's one thing to just be an exhibitionist making a disgrace of your humanity, as has become the norm in America. Now we see people who are lower than that in the rings of hell, as described by Dante's Inferno, where there are devils like Dianne Feinstein, who I can't stop talking about. To think that a woman of this low level is sitting there as the chief executioner of a man's character. A man, by the way, and this should not be lost in our discussions today, Kavanaugh is a moderate Republican, a check-pants Republican, country club Republican, the type I would never vote for. He's as moderate as they come. He worked for George Bush. He's worked for George Bush. Republican, check-pants Republican. He would disappoint us if he's on the Supreme Court. He'll be another Roberts. He'll give us the Obamacare kind of vote. You know it and I know it. He was even approved of by Democrats. And yet, look what they're doing to him. Look how vicious Feinstein is, that she would destroy even him. So can you imagine if we actually put up a true conservative, what would be happening here? And this brings up the other question. How did a girl like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was the chief litigator for the ACLU, of the lowest form of leftism you can imagine, how did she get confirmed 94-6 or something along those lines? How? Why? Because the Republicans are not malicious enough.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Take 1 atom of nitrogen and bond it with 1 atom of oxygen. Boom, you just created nitric oxide, a miracle molecule your own body makes that fuels your cardiovascular health, keeping you vibrant. But as we all age, our bodies need help generating more natural nitric oxide. Super Beets by Human has harnessed the power of nutrient-enriched beets and created a superfood that helps your body make more nitric oxide on its own. The core philosophy of Human is to develop heart-healthy products for your body. 1 teaspoon of Super Beets daily tends to support your cardiovascular health and blood pressure levels, giving you natural energy without the need of a quick caffeine kick or sugar high. We're talking real, healthful, natural energy. So call 800-481-0504 or go to savagelovesbeats.com and find out how you can get a free 30-day supply of Super Beats and free shipping with your first purchase. I want you to feel the 1 + 1 = boom effect of Super Beats. Just call 800-481-0504 or savagelovesbeats.com. How do you raise a boy in the post-Feinstein world? You know, there's a calendar state, BC, before Christ. We have to change the calendar to AF after Feinstein. What she has done to the world that we live in will never be the same. She has broken the world. You got to give her credit for an 80-some-odd-year-old woman. She's made her mark on society. She's destroyed the Western world by reversing the rules of law, by making people who have to prove their innocence after being accused of being guilty, by perverting the law, by perverting Congress, by perverting the Senate hearings. She has actually created a new world for America. And the most at risk are, as I say, libertine men, Democrat men. Democrat men are at most risk today, and they're living suddenly in a new world that they don't even understand that they're in, meaning their tomorrow. Their tomorrow is Kavanaugh's today. All of a sudden, Julie Swetnick comes along, declares as follows. She was at 10 parties where girls were drugged and raped. And so you ask her, why'd she go back? Who goes to a party? I could see she went to one in 81, 82, where drugs and grain alcohol was put in the punch and girls were raped. Let's say that happened even once. Why would she go back 9 more times? She said she went 10 times. She gives it a number of times. Why would she go back? And by the way, there's another thing you should know. There's a picture going around the web of the lawyer for the first one, whose name I forgot already, a Dr. Fraud, who we'll hear from tomorrow. Dr. Fraud's lawyer, Miss Katz, is seen in a picture with Hillary Clinton. Oh, yeah, deeply tied to the Clinton machine. That's it. WGAW in Massachusetts. Brian, what's on your mind on this horrible day in American congressional history?
Actually cracked me up with a lot of the stuff that you say. I am a Massachusetts liberal Democrat, and I'm very disappointed in my party right now.
But how do you as a man feel today? Don't you feel you're at greater risk than you were a week ago?
Personally, no, because I'm gay, and I make sure I don't put myself in those positions.
But wait a minute, even gay men are at risk. What's to prevent someone from saying you did things like this to men?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Let's put the sex aside, meaning it doesn't matter to me what it is. If you become a public figure, gay or straight, anyone can accuse you now of engaging in these kind of revolting acts and destroy you.
Yes, exactly. Right now I feel 5 o'clock, if Trump removes Kavanaugh from his nomination, I'm just going to really be really upset. I think he should fight it. Whether or not he did it, it was years ago. He's got a record that, people are allowed to do stuff and then improve their life and do good.
You make a very good point. Well, not rape. Rape is another story. But let's say he was a pretty wild guy. You're saying why 35 years ago, what person in high school didn't do crazy things? What woman listening to this show in her 50s or 60s didn't do mad stuff when she was in a college? Tell me, or high school. What woman listening to this show didn't do crazy things?
Wasn't the 60s the sexual revolution?
And wait, weren't the liberals who told us let it all hang out, if it feels good, do it? Why not do it in the road? Don't be judgmental. Look who's being judgmental now. All the women who told us not to be judgmental.
It's awful, Mike.
But the best part of the call was when you said you get my humor, you get some of the background jokes I throw out there. I'm glad you hear it. The truth is that I have a huge gay audience. Not huge. A big part of my audience are people who like those little asides.
Yeah, we're not all stuck up and snobby. We're not.
No, I know there's a lot of Shakespearean asides on the Savage Nation, but you got to listen for them.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to read any of my books? Because if you are, I'm sending you Stop Mass Hysteria. But if you aren't, I'll send it in a plain brown wrapper.
Oh, you're absolutely fine to do that.
Stay on the line. He'll get your number. I'm looking at the 3 accusers now on the screen. They look like ordinary white girls, right? So how do you know which one is going to turn crazy on you? I'm raising a very delicate issue. I don't want to say something that'll be a career destroyer here. Look at the faces of that they're showing on the news channels of the three accusers. The faces. Ordinary white girls. So how does a boy or a man know which one can turn on them at any time? And if you're raising a boy now, what do you do? Send him to a monastery? What are you telling him? Become gay to avoid this? What are your choices now? Your boy can be destroyed now because we're living in a new age, the post-Feinstein age, where she's destroyed jurisprudence in America. You don't have to prove anything, just accuse. Just accuse. It doesn't apparently apply to her, but to everyone else on earth, you're guilty until proven innocent. All the rumors that swirl around some senators, some congresswomen, and the wealth they have gained while in office, that doesn't matter at all. No, those accusations are all false. You can just sweep them aside. But when it comes to Kavanaugh, you have to believe every one of them. You know, these are times that test man's soul. These are the times that test a man's soul. So what do you do in a time like? Who do you believe? Many people say, I don't know who to believe. I'm listening to him. I listen to the other one. I turn it all. I don't know who to believe anymore. What do you do at that time? What do you do in times like this? These are new times for all of us. We know they did this to Clarence Thomas, accusing him of horrible things, and they destroyed his life forever, even though he's on the Supreme Court. He's never been the same man. He even says that today. Who do you turn to? What do you believe in? Where do you turn with your faith? How can you believe in anyone after this? Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I strengthen thee, yea, I help thee. I uphold thee with my victorious right hand. Do you believe in Isaiah? So many people are in prison. What do they read? What do you think they read in prison? Why do you think a lot of people read the Bible in prison? You think it's just to show that they're good people and they're going to get out early? In some cases, yes, it's cynical. Why do so many men who are locked away find such strength in the Bible? Why? Why is it called the Rock of Ages? Why? Why do you think everyone who reads the Bible is a fool and you're the smart one because you're an atheist or an agnostic? Why do you think so many strong men who are breaking inside prison find strength in the Word of God? Why? Why do they turn to Exodus? Why do they turn to the Bible? What is it that they find in this book of books, the Rock of Ages? What do they find there? I don't know. You'll have to find it for yourself. You think it's just a plastic amulet. Where is God when you need him? I can't imagine, by the way, what Kavanaugh's children are going through because of the Feinstein attacks. I just can't imagine what those little children are facing in school. You know how vicious children can be, right? Can you imagine the viciousness of what's going on in the schools that those little kids go to? Well, I'm not a particularly religious man, but I am an imaginative man. Jeremiah wrote, how can you say I am not defiled? I have not gone after the Baalim. See thy way in the valley, know what thou hast done, says Jeremiah 2:23. You know, I pulled some quotes out of the Bible that I carry. I don't carry that. I have at home and put it into God, Faith, and Reason because I'm not a very religious man, but I know some of the teachings. I've read them over and over and over again. And you could laugh it off and call it the poetry of the ancients. Some of it had wisdom, some of it was foolish, some of it was unnecessary. But these are times that test men's souls. And it's times like these that you do have to turn to a book of truths. And I can't find one for you now to show how smart the Bible is. You'll have to find it on yourself. Most of you don't read. But I think this goes into false witness. The Ten Commandments, false witness, one of the most important precepts in the Bible. Let's put the Bible aside. Let's look at the Ten Commandments for 1 second. Indulge me, if not yourself. So we all know the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. And many of us don't, we rebel against it. We're rebellious people. But some of them are common sense. And one of them is, thou shalt not bear false witness against, I guess, thy neighbor, right? Well, here they are. I have them right in front of me from Exodus. Some of the earliest laws laid down in the desert for the wild people of the time. The Jews were wild people, wild cavemen. And so they needed God to put them in line. Am I right, Clint? They needed God to come down. Man, they were the wild Hell's Angels of their time. They did whatever they wanted in that desert. Nothing stopped them. You could imagine what they did. So God comes along and says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Listen to this, Diane. Maybe you missed this in school. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. What is wrong with any of those rules? They don't apply all of a sudden? Well, we all can agree you should honor thy father and thy mother. You know, I covered that one once on the show. I went to a very important religious figure, a woman, as a matter of fact, and I had a lot of trouble with my parents because I'm a rebellious type. And even as an adult, I was a rebel. And I had a lot of trouble with them. And she said to me, honor thy father and thy mother does not mean worship them. It means honor the fact that you come from them, that you were not born unto yourself. That was brilliant. Meaning honor the fact that you come from a mother and father. It'll add humanity to you. And that straightened me out with regard to my own, problems with my meaning how I related to being told what to do because I'm a rebel. Next one, thou shalt not murder. You like that one? It doesn't say thou shalt not kill, by the way. The Hebrew word is murder. Because I once asked a priest on this show, how could a man go to war if it says thou shalt not kill? And he said, no, it doesn't say thou shalt not kill. It says thou shalt not murder. Totally different than thou shalt not kill. You get it? Say, okay, check that one. Thou shalt not steal. What, do you believe in stealing now all of a sudden? And what about thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor? Are you guilty of that yourself? Are you guilty of bearing false witness against your neighbor? Because I will tell you right now as I sit here, Blumenthal, Durbin, Schumer, Feinstein, and all of the other accusers, these people are guilty of that as far as I am able to tell. They didn't conduct a trial. They condemned Kavanaugh before a trial. They did not do their due diligence. They set him up. They didn't do this during the hearings. And if there was any truth to what they are saying, why didn't they bring this stuff up during those intense hearings? Why didn't they bring it up when Mr. Booker from New Jersey said that he's had his Spartacus moment and he was laughed off the stage and his aspirations to be president are now dirt and garbage? Why? Because they all failed to destroy Kavanaugh during the hearing. So what did Dianne Feinstein do? She she used a dirty trick. It was like Pearl Harbor what she did. She did a sneak attack. She did a sneak attack on Kavanaugh after the hearings were over. She is like the Tokyo Rose of World War II. It's a disgrace what she has done to this country. And the country, by the way, will not likely recover from this for a very long time. It will recover from it. As I point out in Stop Mass Hysteria, we've seen this insanity before. We've seen the Salem witch trials. We've seen this over and over again, going back to the lies being told about Columbus. We will recover from this, but it will take a long time to recover from the evil damage done by these people.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. You know, I can't stress enough how broken the home security industry is. The legacy companies are stuck in the 80s, still locking you into 3-year contracts, still hitting you with hidden fees, bad tech, old tech. But Simply Safe Home Security is different. This is home security that finally gets it right. Simply Safe started 10 years ago with a mission to fix the industry. They cut out contracts, middlemen, and pushy sales guys. They made it easy to set up your system with no hardwiring or tools. With Simply Safe, you get professionally monitored 24/7 protection for just $15 a month. That's police dispatch, fire dispatch. Everyone loves this system. They love how it works, how easy it is to use. That's why today Simply Safe protects over 2 million people and has won Editor's Choice Awards from CNET, PC Magazine, and Wirecutter. Go to simplysafesavage.com to order your Simply Safe system today. You're going to get a 60-day risk-free trial. That's simplysafesavage.com. You're going to get a 60-day risk-free trial. Again, do it now, simplysafesavage.com.
Again, that's 1-800-312-9970.
Not long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, to expand the business, to go on vacation, to buy a new car, remember? But today, withdrawing your own cash has become very, very risky. Listen, according to the Secret War on Cash, a new Swiss America white paper I just read, it made my hair stand on end. You better be careful when you go to the bank. I learned why banks are now required to spy on you and I for the government. And then they report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. What does that mean? Get the Secret War on Cash now by calling 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Did you know simply spending cash today is enough to get you branded as a potential criminal? You heard me. You better read The Secret War on Cash. It's free by calling 800-289-2646. The new war against cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. Find out how to survive and thrive by reading The Secret War on Cash. It's free if you call 800-289-2646 right now. I'm Michael Savage, and you're listening to Talk 1398.7. My friends, in a few minutes, President Trump will speak, and we're all really sitting on the edge of our seat. I will carry it live on this program. For those of you who lose the show and have to listen to Mickey Mouse on Laughing Gas or any other kind of funny show, any comedy show, I apologize, but I have nothing to do with it. But I want to warn you about ransomware. It's malicious software which locks your computer and demands ransom money to restore access. Cyber criminals will demand payment within a certain time or risk losing access to your data forever. They'll tell you that. And getting your data back is very hard. The average ransomware demand in 2017 was over $500. It happens. So what can you do about it? Well, number one, don't automatically open email attachments from unknown sources, especially, attachments. And most importantly, use up-to-date computer security software. There are so many threats in today's connected world. It just takes one weak link for criminals to get in. And it's a good thing that new LifeLock identity theft protection adds the power of Norton Security to help protect against threats. No one can stop every cyber threat. We all know that. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor transactions of every kind at all businesses. But, and here's the big but, new LifeLock with Norton Security can see threats you might miss on your own. Please go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. You must use code SAVAGE. You'll get that extra 10% off your first year, and you'll support this show. And you'll also get a $25 Amazon gift card with annual enrollment just by going to LifeLock.com or calling 1-800-LifeLock with promo code SAVAGE. Very important you use that promo code SAVAGE if you love this show. Terms do apply. We have only 2 minutes until this hour comes to an end. On this momentous day, that one of the lowest forms of legal life came up with a shock accuser, claims she was gang raped by Kavanaugh specifically, even though she said she didn't see him. She claims he was involved in gang rapes. I read her affidavit on this program that she gave to this creature called Avenatti. She says she was at 10 such parties where the punch was spiked with alcohol. What kind of alcohol specifically? Grain alcohol, no less. And she was very specific. Grain alcohol now. Not vodka, but grain alcohol. And drugs in the punch. But she went back 9 more times. And now her lawyer, this great Avenatti, the lawyer, who thinks he'll be president, he has less chance of being president than my dog Teddy does, and my dog Teddy's very sick and may not even live through the year 2020. He has a better chance to win as a write-in than Avenatti does, or any of these other people trying to make their name by rumor-mongering against others. Anyway, she says she was at 10 parties where this happened. Never left, never reported it, and she wants him destroyed. Well, we'll see what happens in a few minutes when the president speaks. I don't know what he's going to do. Does anyone know? Do you know what he's going to do? Why weren't these charges against Kavanaugh brought up when he was being reviewed as a federal judge? Where was Feinstein? Where was Schumer? Where were all of the accusers then? Well, some of them were blocking him even then, and they didn't bring up rape. They brought up everything under the sun, except that. I don't believe a word of it. Not one word.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Warning, the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
Well, I'm back and the president is speaking. Let's listen in, and I'll comment very sparingly.
To me, these are false accusations in certain cases, and certain cases, even the media agrees with that. I can only say that what they've done to this man is incredible. You know, it's very interesting. I pick a lot of judges. I have 145 judges I will be picking by the end of a fairly short period of time, because President Obama wasn't big on picking judges. When I got there, I said, how is this possible? I have 145, including Court of Appeals judges. And they just didn't do it. You know why? They got tired. They got complacent. Something happened. I have 145 judges. Everybody wants to be a federal judge, not just a Supreme Court judge. I'm talking about Court of Appeals. I'm talking about district court. I don't think they're going to want to so much. I'll be calling people, and we'll have people calling people that do this. And people are going to be scared, because we could say it about you. 35 years ago, you met, and you might not know what's going on. What is going on? Why did they wait so long? Why did Senator Feinstein wait till the hearings were over?
Thank you.
And make this case? Why didn't she bring it
Why
right
don't you
at the
investigate
beginning when you asked
Feinstein's
about,
background, President
as
Trump?
an example, the FBI? Why didn't they bring this right at the beginning, during the hearing?
Where was she in 1982?
For the FBI, it would have been fine. Now, the FBI, as you know, did investigate this time, as they have 5 or 6 other times, and they did a very thorough investigation. But this is a big con job, and I would love to be in the room with the Democrats, close the door. You guys are all away outside waiting, and Schumer and his buddies are all in there laughing how they fooled you all. Let's just stop them. A big fat con. Yeah, go ahead.
But Mr. President, if I could follow up, you have daughters. Can you understand why a victim of sexual assault would not report it at the time? Don't you understand?
By the way, I only say this: 36 years, no charge, no nothing.
But
everybody
that happens often. I mean,
people are going to have to make a decision. 36 years, there's no charge. All of a sudden, the hearings are over, and the rumors start coming out. And then you have this other con artist, Avenatti, come out with another beauty today. I only say that you have to look at the facts. The senators are very capable people. They're very good people. I know many of them. They're friends of mine. These are very talented, very good people. And they're going to vote. They're going to have to believe what they believe. When I look at what's happened to the reputation of a great gentleman, a great intellect, a brilliant man, somebody that has a chance to be one of our great Supreme Court justices in history, intellectually, I think it's a shame. Yes, please.
You're listening to President Trump live.
Mr. President, yesterday at the speech at the UN, you spoke about how Venezuela's problem was because
let's cut away
Cuba.
just for a minute. I'm not interested in Venezuela. I could care less. I'm interested in false witness against people. Trump said something that's, a lot of things that I agree with, almost everything. But he said that Judge Kavanaugh has been investigated by the FBI several times along the way. He's a federal judge. That's the most, they looked into him. Where was this woman with the gang rape then? Where was she? Was she still in the fog of Quaalude fog? She wasn't around. She was still in the Quaalude fog. What was she doing? She was drinking Spike Punch while Kavanaugh was being nominated and going through the grilling to be a federal judge. Where was she all of a sudden? They dig her up. Julie Swetnick, the new one. She said she was on 10 cases of these parties that she went to. And she saw Brett Kavanaugh engage in inappropriate behavior. She said 10 times she saw them spiking punch with drugs or grain alcohol and raping women. In a train rape. I never heard of train rape. Why did she go back 9 times? Why? Then she says she was incapacitated with in one of those parties, and she got raped in 1982. If it happened, that's the worst thing you could do to a woman. Why was there no police report? Why did she not tell the police? This was not just a guy. This was a gang of guys. They should all be in prison if they did it. Why didn't she report it? Is he still talking about Venezuela? Let's hear it.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It would be great if a female reporter would ask you a question about this issue. So if you don't mind,
I wouldn't mind that at all. No, wouldn't mind it at all.
All right. Well, let me. If I
wouldn't make any difference to me.
All right.
Go ahead.
If I could follow up on John and John's question, why is it, Mr. President, that
jerk?
you always seem to side with the accused and not the accuser?
Not him, the
three
accuser.
women here who are all making
shut up!
allegations.
Oh, Mr. Honest Liberal. What did you do in your life, Acosta?
If you look at the case of Roy Moore,
how many women did you accost?
Of one of your staffers. You seem to time and again
Jim
side
Acosta.
with the accused and not the accuser. Is that because of the many allegations that you've had
what a lowlife
made against you over the years?
Well, first of all, I wasn't happy with Roy Moore. Let's get that straight. But Roy Moore was a Republican candidate, and I would have rather had a Republican candidate win. I was very happy with Luther Strange, who was a terrific man from Alabama, but Luther Strange had a lot of things going against him. As far as women, whether it's a man or a woman, these are, it can happen the other way. Allegations can go the other way also. You understand that. And whether it was a man or a woman, 30 years ago, 36 years ago, in fact, they don't even know how many years ago because nobody knows what the time is. That's a long time. And I could pick, as an example, hopefully I won't have to do it as a replacement, because hopefully this is going to go very well on Thursday. It's going to go very well on Monday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever they vote.
You hear what he just said?
But I could pick a woman.
You hear?
And she could have charges made from many years ago also.
But don't you understand,
and I would
sir, that
look at the character. No, what I have to do.
Are reluctant to come forward. You've raised doubts about these accusers. Many of them.
I don't think people are reluctant to come forward. They're going to have a chance to speak at a. They have a major chance to speak. Excuse me. They have a major chance.
Shut that bum up.
And it will be.
Throw the bum out. Get him out of there.
We've delayed this.
You CNN dirtbag, you.
Senators, not me. The Republican senators have delayed this for weeks now.
Who elected that Acosta down there?
The women a major chance to speak.
Did Jim Acosta ever accost any woman?
Is there
any woman listening to the show can testify whether or not Jim Acosta ever accosted a woman?
We want to give them a chance to speak. And they're given.
Jim Acosta, shut him up already!
Whoever is,
I didn't elect that piece of trash to get up there and shoot his mouth off. Shut up!
At speaking and making their case. And you know what? I could be persuaded also. Okay? Yes, please.
It's not through yet. Not finished yet.
I'd like to go. Yes, go ahead, please.
Who's next? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. And a couple of questions for you to follow up on some answers that I didn't quite hear from you. If you would allow me a couple of questions. First of all, do you think these women, all three of them, are liars? Yes or no?
Have they been what?
Are they liars?
I can't tell you. I have to watch tomorrow. I have to read. I just heard about one a little while ago.
Good for
I can
you.
tell you her lawyer is a lowlife, okay? So I can't tell you whether or not they're liars until I hear them. I don't know what happened today.
What an answer that is. Don't you love it?
Japan,
Till I
with
hear
South
them.
Korea, with China, and about 7 other countries.
That's why he likes me. He looks right in my eyes. He knows who I am.
Security Council. So I don't know about today's person that came forward. I do know about the lawyer. And you don't get much worse, bad reputation to take a look at his past. So as far as the other women are concerned, I'm going to see what happens tomorrow.
Good for you.
I'm going to be watching. Believe it or not, I'm going to see what's said.
What a day.
It's possible that they will be convincing. Now, with all of that being said, Judge Brett Kavanaugh has been for many years one of the most respected people in Washington. He's been on, I guess you'd call it the second highest
court. He's been through 3 FBI investigations.
Every single person knows
more than Obama had, who had none.
People know him well. And those people.
Did you know that
don't believe
Obama
what's
never had an
going on.
FBI background
I
check?
can always be convinced.
Did
you know that?
It sounds like what you're saying is there is a situation, there is a scenario under which you would withdraw Brett Kavanaugh's nomination.
Here we go, putting words.
If I thought he was guilty of something like this, yeah, sure.
And you will wait until tomorrow to make up your
I
mind.
want to watch. I want to see. I hope I can watch. I'm meeting with a lot of countries tomorrow, but I will certainly, in some form, be able to watch. And I'll also rely on some very fair and talented Republican senators who, look. If we brought George Washington here and we said we have George Washington, the Democrats would vote against him, just so you understand. And he may have had a bad past. Who knows? You know,
he had bad teeth, that's for sure.
I think accusations made. Didn't he have a couple of things in his past?
Yes.
George Washington would be voted against 100% by Schumer and the con artists. I mean, 100%, 100%. So it really doesn't matter from their standpoint. That's why when John asked about the FBI, if the FBI did the most thorough investigation in the history of the FBI and they found him to be 100% perfect, he would lose every single vote. Now, if the Republicans win tomorrow, I think you're going to get some votes from the Democrats. You know why? Because we all know why. Because it's called politics. Then you'll probably get some votes. Okay, let's go. One more question? Yes.
Just to follow
she stands up. I'd like to ask about 3 questions. It's not really fair to everyone else, but should I let her ask another question?
Follow up on.
Go ahead.
To follow up on a question that a colleague asked as well about the benefit of the doubt that you have given to people like Roy Moore, to Roger Ailes, to Bill O'Reilly, to Brett Kavanaugh. They're all men. Why is that?
It's not a benefit of the doubt.
Has there ever been an instance when you've given the benefit of the doubt?
I've known them. Haley, I've known them for a long time, and a lot of these people, and some I've been disappointed with. I have been disappointed with some others. There are charges that are pretty weak, but I've known people for a long time. I never saw them do anything wrong. And there are some that probably I agree. I can tell you there are some that I've been watching for a long time. And in a couple of cases, they weren't Republicans. In a lot of cases, they were not. They were exactly the opposite. But I've been watching them for a long time. And I knew for a long time these were not good people, and they were never brought up. Okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Next one. You're listening to Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you.
In front of the world.
Thank you very much.
At the UN, giving his press conference. We'll be right back on the Savage Nation. Be here or be nowhere.
You initially said how important it was.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Do you have sunspots and age spots? Well, listen to Renee from Boulder, Colorado, raving about the brand new Genucel Sun Spot Corrector. She says, I love the Genucel Sun Spot Corrector. It is my go-to product every day. Watch your sunspots, age spots, and even red inflamed patches vanish right before your very eyes. And just like Renee, if you click or call right now, you'll get the Genucel Sun Spot Corrector absolutely free just for trying Genucel for bags and puffiness. Watch those stubborn sunspots vanish now before you get busy with the holidays and those bags and puffiness gone. And for results in less than 12 hours, the Genucel Immediate Effects is also yours free. You heard me, free again. Go to Genucel.com now or call 1-800-SKIN-891, 800-SKIN-891. When you order this week, you'll receive Chamonix's luxury microdermabrasion for instantly radiant baby soft skin. Order now and shipping is also free. Call 800-SKIN-891.
These 4 people.
We're back live.
When I heard that they called these 4 people,
Nation,
I said,
President
wow,
Trump is answering
that's
questions.
A big story. And it was for
He's doing
Fox.
a great job, by the way.
Okay.
And I think he's doing a great job. He said he's withholding his judgment of the women until he sees them speak tomorrow.
Just now, you made a significant allegation against the Chinese government. You suggested that the Chinese had meddled in or are meddling.
That's right.
In
That's what I hear.
Midterm election.
That's what I hear.
What evidence do you have of that, sir? Is there a national intelligence estimate?
We have evidence. It'll come out. Yeah, I can't tell you now, but it came. It didn't come out of nowhere that I can tell you.
We don't want to hear about China. Nothing's important now except he said, she said, she said, she said, she said, she said. Forget China, forget Syria, forget India, forget England, France, Germany. All that matters is whether a woman went to a party and took Quaaludes. And then the choir boy was there, that's all. What's he up to now?
We're still paying 25% on that. They're paying billions and billions. This has never
happened.
He
gave a great speech on the economy, by the way, which doesn't seem to matter. The liberals never had it so good. They're driving new Priuses. They got new motorized bicycles, new skateboards.
From what I hear,
because the economy is just super because of him. That doesn't matter, though. See, that's the thing about ideologues. They'd rather be poor than see an America thriving. They hate the country, except for Dianne Feinstein. She doesn't want to be poor. She loves the economy. She never did so well in her life. Well, anyway, he's doing a great news conference about the new Kavanaugh lies, let's put it that way. Gang rape now. 10 times she went to a party with Quaaludes and drugs and alcohol and a punch, but she went back. Why'd she go back 10 times? Why? What was she doing there? Can any woman answer me why she'd go back 10 times? Let's take a quick call. I got to take a caller. Charles on KSFO, are you there? Go ahead, please. What did you want to say? Charles, go ahead, please.
Dr. Savage, I was in that pill culture from the late 70s to the early 80s. I never saw anything that approached this kind of behavior.
Now, wait, when you say the pill culture, you mean the kind described by this new girl?
Yes, the Quaalude culture.
And what do you mean by the pill culture? You mean people who pop pills, right?
The people who would get Quaaludes and take them as a party trick.
All right, fine. So you were involved in it. You weren't alone in that. But what do you mean you never saw anything like this? In what sense?
I never saw forced sex any time during the years that I attended these parties.
So what did you see with the Quaalude culture? What did you see?
I saw women that eagerly gobbled these pills up.
Why? Why would a woman gobble up Quaaludes?
Because it makes them feel good. It
reduces their inhibitions, in other words?
Absolutely.
But doesn't it cause memory loss as well?
It can be a side effect that I found, especially when it's mixed with alcohol.
But in your opinion, a lot of this was consensual, is what you're saying.
Dr. Savage, I never saw anything that was forced sex. I would not have, even though I was using drugs, that doesn't mean that my values were erased. I wouldn't have tolerated anything like that I witnessed. And
if there was such gang rapes, wouldn't you think that somebody would have reported it the next day, even one of the men, let's say, who didn't participate?
Absolutely.
Not every man is an animal and a pig. And if they heard about a girl being raped in the other room, there's a lot of men would go to the police and say, that's the end of the road. I'm not hanging around with these people. They're animals. They're sick.
I think it would go further than that. I would intercede if I knew something like that was happening.
Now, today, what? You're married with children and you're a priest, or?
Far from a priest.
But, are you still a wild man?
You know, that's funny. That's my nickname.
All right. Well, look, we got to laugh once in a while at the crazy times we're living in. Declaration of Julie Sweetneck. Next, when I come back, we'll listen to the president fielding questions from the jackals, and we'll read you the declaration of Julie Sweetneck, the latest accuser on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
Take 1 atom of nitrogen and bond it with 1 atom of oxygen. Boom, you just created nitric oxide, a miracle molecule your own body makes that fuels your cardiovascular health, keeping you vibrant. But as we all age, our bodies need help generating more natural nitric oxide. Super Beets by Human has harnessed the power of nutrient-enriched beets and created a superfood that helps your body make more nitric oxide on its own. The core philosophy of Human is to develop heart-healthy products for your body. 1 teaspoon of Super Beets daily tends to support your cardiovascular health and blood pressure levels, giving you natural energy without the need of a quick caffeine kick or sugar high. We're talking real, healthful, natural energy. So call 800-481-0504 or go to SavageLovesBeets.com and find out how you can get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets and free shipping with your first purchase. I want you to feel the 1 + 1 = boom effect of Super Beets. Just call 800-481-0504 or Well, President Trump continues to field questions about other things in the world other than what happened in 1981 when Poltergeist was in the movie theaters. I want to read you something that came out this morning in the Wall Street Journal that you must take home. And I'm going to read one paragraph. It's easy to remember. We're talking about the newest accusations by Mrs. Sweetneck, who said she was drug-using Quaaludes, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to read your paragraph. Maura Cain, who dated Judge Kavanaugh for several months when they were both 17-year-old high school students, said in an interview Wednesday that she didn't know Ms. Sweetneck and didn't believe such parties occurred. Ms. Cain said the allegations are so outrageous and insane, it's absolutely ridiculous, and we stand by Brett. Ms. Sweetneck's declaration, though, was made public by the lowlife lawyer Michael Avenatti, a lawyer who also represents the stripper, I wouldn't call her a porn star. I mean, there's no such thing. A porn actor, whatever. All right. Anyway, the main thing to take home is that here's a woman who dated Kavanaugh when they were 17. She said she didn't know Miss Sweetneck, and she never heard of such parties. So I don't know what to believe here, but I can't imagine a girl who goes to a party like that would go back 9 more times. What was she going for? What, was she going for the punch? I don't understand how anyone could believe this. Something's wrong, so wrong with our system that anyone can make anything up at any time. And what about the second Kavanaugh accuser, Deborah Ramirez? Where's she? Where's she come and go? Deborah Ramirez came up 2 days ago. Where is she now? 53-year-old married government worker. Okay, where is she now? Who's going to speak tomorrow? We now have 3 women making allegations against Mr. Kavanaugh. Huge deal. Huge deal. 3. Are they all going to speak tomorrow? This is a blockbuster day that the president is fielding questions. Let's tune in again to the press conference live on the Savage Nation.
A mountain moved over 1.5 inches. We're talking about mountains. You know, North Korea is very mountainous, beautiful land, beautiful.
North Korea now.
This mountain actually shifted. It shifted.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in world events anymore. They brought me down to their level. All I want to hear about is Miss Sweetneck and the other one. I'm not interested anymore in anything to do with anything except the salaciousness. That's what they've done to my brain. Millions of years of evolution, 3 higher degrees, 30 books. And all I want to hear about is the salacious details of the Punch and Judy show. That's what they did to me. They melted my brain down. Let's see if he's going to go back to that, because otherwise I'm going to tune out.
Many presidents were unable to do anything at all with North Korea. We now have a good relationship.
Why do I not care about North Korea?
And most importantly, all of the things that you've been hearing about, the horror stories, in my opinion, they're gone. Now, could they start up again? Yes. I'm a deal guy.
Again?
Could they start? Yeah.
It's called the Big McGill.
I think.
By the way, here's another breaking story you got to see. This is awesome. Please, let's break away from it for 1 minute. This came out in the Weekly Standard. And I got a pop-up here. Avenatti client, that's the Sweetneck, was in college when she claims to have attended gang rape parties with high school students. John McCormick came out a few minutes ago. I swear to God, a woman named Julie Sweetneck, who's represented by the dirtbag Michael Avenatti, said that she went to 10 parties and 1981, 10 paladins, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. So someone did some time checking on it. She has a firm recollection of seeing boys lined up outside rooms at Mendy's by waiting for their turn with the girl inside the room. These boys included Judge and Kavanaugh, she said. Here are some skeptical questions. Are you ready for this? We do not know if others can confirm that Sweetneck attended house parties with Brett Kavanaugh, who graduated from high school in 1983. According to the New York Times, Sweetneck graduated from Gaithersburg High School in 1980 before attending college at the University of Maryland. So they ask, did high school students from Georgetown Prep, like Kavanaugh, frequently attend parties with University of Maryland college students like Sweetneck in the early 80s? And by the way, Sweetneck does not name any of the houses at which these parties allegedly occurred. So, in other words, Kavanaugh was in high school, Georgetown Prep. This girl was a college girl. She said she went to rape parties and that he was there. What was a high school boy doing there? That came up today. None of Mrs. Sweetneck's claims could be independently corroborated by the New York Times, and her lawyer, Avenatti, declined to make her available for an interview, the New York Times reports. So even the New York Times is backing away from Sweetneck. Now, what Sweetneck says is there were many parties at which boys lined up outside of rooms to commit gang rape. Disgusting. It's disgusting, actually. So where are the other victims? In other words, if this occurred many times and it wasn't just Miss Sweetneck who was being abused and raped, horrible thing. Where are the other victims who were lined up there in these houses? Where are the perpetrators? Where are the witnesses? Because not every man listening to this show would have put up with it. Some of you would have stopped it. Would you have not stopped a thing like that if you were a boy and you saw that going on, whether you're in high school or college? Would you have, first of all, let's say you wouldn't even participate. Wouldn't you have stopped it? An innocent girl drugged up there on the bed? What, are you kidding me? I don't know anybody who ever did anything like this, and I knew some pretty bad people. Nobody would do a thing like this. Nobody. Never heard of it, by the way. I never heard of it. Never. Where are these things coming from? Well, they're coming from the dirtiest people on the planet. Incidentally, Kavanaugh has passed 6 background checks. FBI never found anything. And if what Sweetneck says is true, that there were many such parties at which boys lined up outside of rooms to commit gang rape, where are the many victims and the many perpetrators and the many witnesses? Sweetneck says, oh, I don't know if there are any witnesses, but that didn't stop Sweetneck from destroying a man's reputation. This is crazy. And by the way, a week ago, a lawyer and friend of Deborah Katz, another prize. Deborah Katz is the female version of Avenatti. They're cut from the same mellow roll. Remember Deborah Katz, that other prize? Right? Well, she doesn't seem to have any witnesses either. Wouldn't Katz herself have heard from the many women about alleged gang rapes if Sweetneck's accusations are true? Where are those people? Do you understand? Does it matter to any of you? Does the truth matter at all? I don't know. Does anyone even understand how serious this is? Let's see the accuser now again. Another woman.
They did the same thing with the Russia investigation. They tried to convince people that I had something to do with Russia. There was no collusion. Think of it. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in Michigan. I say, gee, we're not doing well. I won both those states. We're not doing well. Let me call the Russians to help. Does anybody really believe that? It's a con job. And I watch these guys, little Adam Schiff and all of the guys. He takes a call from a Russian who turned out to be a faker. You know, he was a comedian or something. This is so-and-so calling for... He took the call. Why is he taking a call from a Russian? Senator Warner took a call from a Russian. He was a comedian or something, but he said, we have pictures of President Trump. Whoa, where can I get them? If we ever did that, it would be like a big deal. Yeah, it's a con job, and it's not a bad term. It's not a bad term at all.
Are you worried?
I'll tell you one thing I can say. I've had a lot of people talking about this to me with respect to what's happening, because it's a horrible precedent. I'm going to have to get other judges and other Supreme Court judges, possibly. I could have a lot of Supreme Court judges, more than 2. And when I called up Brett Kavanaugh, spoke to him and his family, and told them that I chose them, they were so happy and so honored. It was as though, I mean, the biggest thing that's ever happened, and I understand that, U.S. Supreme Court. I don't want to be in a position where people say, no thanks, I don't want to, you know, I spoke to somebody 38 years ago and it may not be good. We have a country to run.
Yes.
We want the best talent in the world.
Feinstein destroyed America.
But I'll tell you this. The people that have complained to me about it the most, about what's happening, are women. Women are very angry.
Absolutely.
You know, I got 52% with women. Everyone said this couldn't happen, 52%. Yep. Women are so angry.
Right.
And I frankly think that they like what the Republicans are doing, but I think they would have liked to have seen it go a lot faster. But give them their day in court. Let her have her day in court. Let
pull away
somebody
for a
else
minute, break away from the president. The most important thing he said today that I can remember when a woman pressed him on whether he believes the women or not, he said, I can't tell you whether they are liars until I hear them, he said. That was the most honest thing he said today. Do you know that? I want you to understand how down-to-earth President Trump actually is. And this comes from a broadcaster who sat with him long enough to give you my opinion of him as a man, person, plain English. You sit with a person for 30 minutes. As it doesn't matter if they're trying to fake it out. You look in their eyes and you talk to someone, you can more or less get a feeling for who they are. They can look right through you, and you can pretty much, if you're smart, feel who they are. This guy's pretty straightforward, and he just said, I want to wait till they speak tomorrow. I feel the same way. But coming as they do from a dirtbag like Avenatti and a filth like Deborah Katz, I'm not optimistic that one word that comes out of their mouth has any truth to it in advance. I'll tell you that. I'm biased against them. Not because I think that Kavanaugh is such a prize, okay? But that's not the point. The point is you don't destroy a man based on hearsay evidence unless you're Dianne Feinstein and you're above the law. You know, then you're like a Roman senator. But, you know, if you think you're a Roman senator and nothing had happened to you in terms of your own reputation, I got another guest coming for you, because after this debacle of what Feinstein and Schumer have pulled, if you think the American people are not going to start digging up dirt on them, you're mistaken. Forget me. I'm one man. The whole country now hates them more than anything on the planet. Half the country, at least, hates Feinstein, hates Schumer, hates Durbin, hates Blumenthal, and believe me, there will be armies of people digging into their past now. If